Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is Global Reality Radio Network.
Welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being with us here tonight. Yes, we got ourselves a late night full moon Moonbat edition of the broadcast. They say right in this, right 120, 118, something like that. I saw it earlier, just about 20, 30 minutes ago, and it was really bright. But right around this time, I thought we'd be interesting that we'd kick the show off tonight right around the time when the full moon was its brightest. So here we go. I mean, we couldn't have a Moonbat edition tonight without doing that, right? So glad you could be with us Thursday night into Friday morning now. And it is the 14th of July and going into the 15th. Glad you could join us here. My name is Josh Reeves. I am your host, and this is the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. The website where this broadcast originates from is www.theglobalreality.com. That's www.theglobalreality.com. And you can find the links to listen live. You can find all kinds of stuff up there. We've got the chat room. Lots of people hanging out. Want to welcome any of our new listeners we have. I knew we'd start picking up some new listeners now. We've had our show on Red Ice has been up there, and it's been up there for a couple of days now, and we've gotten a lot of great responses to it. And it seems to be going pretty viral around the net. Everybody's talking about it, and I'm honored by that. It's amazing. And that's why I always wanted to go on the show. That's why our listeners always wanted me to go on there. My listeners sent emails over to Red Ice for 2 years. I asked them to please have me on, and they finally did. And that was I credit the audience with that. Really, not me so much as why I was on there, but I was just really it was refreshing to have an interview where people actually knew what you were talking about. That was what I liked about it. But so thanks to all our new listeners out there, people who are now just coming on and finding us. Thank you so much. We hope you'll tell people that you know about this show if you like it, if you think there's some worthwhile stuff in it. But I encourage you to go back and listen to some of the years and years and years now, 4 years now of radio shows I've done, so you can hear my progression. My research, you'll hear some stuff. You'll hear me say some stuff probably in, episodes from a couple of years ago. You'll be like, well, that's weird. Doesn't sound like what he's into and talks about. Doesn't sound like what he believes now. That's because what I believe is constantly changing. It's not a static thing. It always is varying and turning into something new because I'm constantly researching and gaining that newer perspective always. And I think that's what you out there hopefully should be doing as well. If you want to send an email into the show tonight or anytime, but if you have something specific tonight you'd like to hear me talk about, if you've got a question or comment, particular news item, a topic, I don't care what it is, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. Love to have you send an email over to us tonight, and I will be glad to talk about it. Got a few emails here. Some have started coming in fast and furious tonight, right before the broadcast. So good stuff there from listeners. I'm sure we're going to get into some news. Not a big bunch of it tonight, probably enough for one segment, and then we're going to continue where we left off last night from the Lost Book of Enki. Many people have been enjoying that reading as well. Thank you so much. We were getting into last night. I think they had just made the humans. We had sort of this moralistic thing going on where, you know, disagreements over what was happening and how these things were created was going on. And then we started having cataclysms happen on the earth. So we'll pick up there tonight and get into that. So brew some coffee and get up late, stay up late with us here on the Global Reality. Hey, we, after a couple of years now, we've had people asking. Some people, for whatever reason, don't like to use PayPal, don't like to use prepaid debit cards, which are really easy. You can get them and load them up, and you don't have to have a bank account. And that works on PayPal, surprisingly enough. But some people don't like to do that. And also, some people have asked us to have a P.O. box. And it was quite a bit of trouble to get that going. But luckily, we got that going today. And so I'm happy to report, yeah, here you go. We can now have a Global Reality P.O. box where you can send checks or for contributions. You can make them out to me, Josh Reeves. And you can send them to the address. Where that address is located is at my website, www.theglobalreality.com. And it's on the right-hand side of the page when you scroll down to where you normally see the chip-in banner and the one-time donation button and the monthly subscription button that nobody ever uses. And right below that, you'll see a thing on the right-hand side of the page that says donate via postal mail. And you can send those your checks there if you like, and hopefully that's going to increase the amount of support that we get for the broadcast, just judging by the sheer amounts of people that have asked. So hopefully all those people who asked for it will actually use it and contribute to us now, because it was kind of that way. You know, I was going to have phone calls for a while. I had phone calls for a while. Everybody bitching, pissing, moaning, you got to take calls, blah, 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 blah. So finally I got everything where I could do that to take calls, and I'd get the same two people would call in every night, or I'd get no calls at all. And I'm shelling out, $70, $80 a month to have a phone line. So that's why I quit doing that, because, everybody bitching, pissed, and moaned about having phone calls, and I finally got that going, and then nobody fucking called. I'm like, I've gotten more emails than I've gotten phone calls about having calls. Just made no sense to me. So hopefully, people will use that, because again, we had to pay money to get that P.O. box, and to have to pay money for it and not get used would suck. But I also want to make it clear that just because we have a P.O. box does not mean that that we stop using the PayPal thing. Because if it starts becoming a problem, we don't get in what we need in the PayPal account, and yet we're just getting checks and stuff, I'll stop that. I'll take the P.O. box thing down. I'll take it away, because I'll tell you why. Because for me, I really don't have a per se bank account. I use my PayPal account and stuff, and I pay a lot of my bills and stuff with that. So if we don't have money in our PayPal account, it becomes and then the day the bills are due, I'm not going to be able to go cash a check somebody sent me in the mail and get it in my PayPal account in time to pay a bill. You see what I mean? So please only use that P.O. Box address if you have absolutely no other choice to use PayPal, and you have to send a check, and that's the only way you can contribute. So there you go. Yes, Global Reality Show at gmail.com is my email address, Global Reality Show at gmail.com. So if you have something you want to send in tonight, please do it there, and I'll try to get to it here on the show tonight. All righty. But again, this is we've talked a bit about it. I haven't really been there's some stories on a day-to-day basis that I choose to not talk about. I didn't talk about the whore that supposedly killed her kid and got off. I didn't talk about Casey Anthony or whatever that shit is. I didn't talk about that because I know what that is. That's divide and conquer, distractionary bullshit to keep you infotainment, entertainment shit. But we've talked a bit about this anonymous hacking group that is absolutely 100% a government-sponsored op. There's just no question about it. We've exposed Julian Assange and his little Nazi connections quite a bit. I have a mini documentary out there. It's on YouTube. You can find that on the Global Reality YouTube channel. It's also up on my website, theglobalreality.com. It's under the document, maybe it's under video clips. Maybe it's under documentaries. I don't know for sure. Man, Hydra moves all that stuff around sometimes. So I think it's under documentaries. But you can watch it. Julian Assange, White Brotherhood and the Nazis. And I've been talking about, probably since 2008, about, since 2008, about this, this domestic terrorism stuff, about them trying to essentially connect anybody and everybody who was into information, real information, like what we talk about on these shows and others, to be a terrorist, and that, the mainstream of the truth movement is playing right into that. And I don't know. I don't listen to like Alex Jones even for fucking recon anymore. My God, I can't even listen to that guy to try and get stuff to make fun of him with or to expose him with. I mean, I hear his voice for 2 seconds like fucking fingernails on a chalkboard, because once you break free of the mind control of what he does, it's just like the light switch has been turned on. You're like, oh my God, and then when you try to go back to that, you're like, oh, I can't even stand it. It's fingernails on the chalkboard. So since I don't listen to enough of those shows, I can't say that I don't know. Let's ask the chat room. This is a segment of the show called Ask the Chat Room. All right, chat room, get ready to be asked a question and get ready for an answer. Here you go. All right. Has anybody out there heard or know that if Alex Jones or any of these other truther shows have attempted to say good things about the anonymous hacking group? There's probably about a 10-second delay, so I'll ask the question. About 10 seconds later, the answer will pop up. So I'm asking you, chat room, has anybody out there that maybe listens to some of these shows and monitors some of these shows heard any of these truther types saying that the anonymous hacking group was good and not a government op? Anybody? Most of our chat room is of the same opinion I am. They can't listen to any of that garbage either. So I'm kind of asking the wrong crowd here. He seems non-partial towards them. Okay. Okay. The reason I ask this is because our first news article here tonight is from none other than, yes, you don't hear me ever cover one of their stories, but I have to tonight because I think this is imperative. From Infowars.com, another one of Paul Joseph Watson's shining golden turds that he's pooped out of the ether. If they haven't started saying that they think the anonymous group is good, they probably will after this. And that's what I think this is. I think this is another one of those examples where they're attempting to try and, associate criminal activity with people that are into truth and information. And, of course, they play into that with this violent revolution stuff and this new American Revolution crap that Jones and others spew. But it says that Anonymous could unleash literally explosive material on Bohemian Grove. Bohemian Grove encampment started today, or starts today or tomorrow. I think it's today. Northern California. Hackers Collective Anonymous may have obtained literally explosive information concerning Bohemian Grove, an annual gathering of power brokers from the U.S. and Europe set to meet this week in California, which many see as a nefarious avenue through which elitists secretly manipulate world affairs. Bohemian Grove is a privately owned 2,700-acre compound in Monterey, California, surrounded by giant old-growth redwood trees. Once a year, it plays host to a bizarre confab attended by some of the most powerful people in the world, including many U.S. politicians and government officials, during which participants embroil themselves in a heady mixture of plutocratic plotting and occult pagan ritual ceremonies. The anonymous hacking group, which has already announced its intention to occupy the entrance to the Bohemian Grove compound as a protest against the group's secrecy, may also be about to leak a whole treasure trove of information about the organization as a part of what has been dubbed, quote, the biggest day in anonymous history. As a part of a series of hacks conducted to protest the treatment of WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, to whom Anonymous has attached itself, the collective says it is about to unleash literally explosive material on a number of organizations, including the London Metropolitan Police and other agencies connected to the UK judicial system. These hacks are timed to coincide with Assange's appeal hearing against extradition, which begins today. Speculation centers around material claimed to have been obtained last week from contractors relating to security and secrecy of former world leaders, or plans to target a senior leaders retreat at Bohemian Grove. Any such leak would be devastating for Bohemian Grove organizers and could even disrupt activities at the encampment planned for the next fortnight. Former Secretaries of State George Shultz and James Baker are set to give lakeside talks at the event this year. And how did you obtain that information, Paul Joseph Watson? I'm sorry, Jonesy's inside person who got him in there in the first place. But, so they're saying that Anonymous is going to leak information on the Bohemian Grove. And when they do, you're going to have Alex Jones and, everybody that follows him and probably a lot of you out there and a lot of people out there in the truth movement and stuff that are probably going to proclaim that as a good thing. But I've said it once and I've said it again. There are a lot of people out there, including myself, that, we want the truth. We want the information. But we are not going to play into your hands by committing criminal activity to obtain that information. Do you hear me? I've had people try to pass me alleged secret documents before. People that have, served in the military. Here, man, try to, no, I don't want that. Fuck you. I'm not even looking at that. Get that shit away from me. I treat anybody that tries to approach me, and you should too, with, quote unquote secret information or inside information or classified information. You should run away from that as fast as you possibly can. We have enough information that's admitted to that we don't have to get via illegal means to put all of these sons of bitches away for 50 lifetimes. The only reason somebody wants to pass you classified information or hacked information or anything else is to set you up. Period, point blank. Because that's the reason, that's the real thing they kill people over. That's the real that's the reason they kill researchers and stuff like that. People say, "Oh, well, how come Alex Jones hasn't been killed if he knows everything," or blah, 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 or anybody else? Well, it's because if they kill somebody, then they make a martyr out of them, and then it makes their cause, inflate tenfold from what it was when that person was alive. So they have to be very careful about that. But this is exactly what they want. They want people to play right into their hands and obtain things illegally, because when they feel like you have, when you have inside information or classified information, at that point they can, deem you an enemy of the state or anything else. So that's the big thing that you have to understand is they're not worried about you getting up here and talking on your radio show or me talking on my radio show or making YouTube videos about it. So long as the information that you're putting out there, and, I've had people say to me before, hey, man, are you getting inside information? Are you getting, because I have this ability to just basically theorize about things so accurately that a lot of times I'm often right about it. And that can be dangerous. Because that's really what they're looking for. They're looking for, people who are putting out stuff that they don't really want to be out in the media. And, this whole thing with Anonymous hacking Bohemian Grove and putting out this explosive information, this sounds like a honeypot to me. It sounds like a trap. Because if Alex Jones, everybody venting, oh, this is great. Oh, Anonymous has done such a great job. They can immediately associate Anonymous and everything that they've done with people who are like us, who are investigators and researchers and everything else. So I'm here to say right now, I think that WikiLeaks is just as much a government operation as Alex Jones or anybody else is, and is fully a part of the same operative foundation that Julian Assange is about. And I tell you what, I don't give a fuck about their Bohemian Grove information. I don't want it. If it's got to be obtained illegally, I don't want that. They own and control this system. And I believe in living off of their grid as much as you can. Nobody can really go all the way, but this is exactly what they want. They want us to, be happy about some, shocking revelations about the Bohemian Grove and get us to all jump all over it. So then by guilt by association, they can then say, oh, well, it's all those truthers and all those conspiracy theorists are all happy about this. They're cyber terrorists. because they're really pushing that. And, listen to this. Pentagon to treat cyberspace as operational domain. It's from Reuters today. Pentagon is now to treat cyberspace as operational domain. Meaning, well, it exists, so now that means that the Pentagon and the military can treat it as an operational domain, which means they can operate there and do whatever the fuck they want, just like they do whatever the fuck they want in every country they go to. The Defense Department unveiled a new strategy for protecting military computer networks from hackers on Thursday, designating cyberspace as an operational domain. U.S. forces will be trained to defend. See what I mean? Then anything that's done on it, shows like this and topics we talk about, then anything can be deemed, by Homeland Security a threat and something that they want to shut down. This is serious stuff here, folks. Deputy Defense Secretary William Lynn said the Pentagon wanted to avoid militarizing cyberspace, but aimed to secure strategic networks with a threat of retaliation, as well as by mounting a more robust defense. Our strategy's overriding emphasis is on denying the benefit of an attack, Lynn said in a speech at the National Defense University. If an attack will not have its intended effect, those who wish to harm us will have less reason to target us through cyberspace in the first place. Identifying intruders and responding to serious cyber attacks are a part of the strategy, he said, but the military now focuses its strongest deterrent on other nation states, not transnational groups. Yeah. But the fact that they're policing it at all tells you that they want to crack down on the content that is there and create, the same Big Brother environment and take away the free aspects of it that they've taken away in the real world. And they're going to use Anonymous and all these lulsec and all this stuff to do that. This has been the plan all along. Pentagon to treat cyberspace as operational domain. That's just unbelievable stuff. Let's see what else we have here. Scientists punch a hole in the fabric of space-time with a time cloak. Gizmodo.com. No, I am not reading that out of a science fiction magazine or anything else. That is a real fucking article. What a preposterous world we live in, where developments in invisibility cloak tech are common enough to elicit yawns. Fine, you unmovable automatons. How about a time cloak? Is that something you might be interested in? Researchers at Cornell have designed, built, and demonstrated the first cloak that hides events in real time. Well, that means the CIA and the Pentagon's had it for 20 years, by the way. The process relies on similar methods of distorting electromagnetic fields as invisibility cloaks, but it exploits, they're just talking about invisibility cloaks here like it's nothing. And your average fucking person, you say that the United States government has invisibility cloaks and had them for years, they'll say you're fucking out of your mind. And you watch too much TV when it's them brain dead motherfuckers that watch too much TV. Yes, they've had invisibility cloaks for years. Yes, they now have a time cloak. And they just talk about it like it's nothing. Your average person goes, I ain't got that. They can't modify the weather. Them chemtrails ain't real. If they was, I'd see it on a TV. Well, look around you, bucko. Chemtrails are almost in everything. I saw some commercial for some new TV show on Sci-Fi the other night. They show this downtown shot of New York, like from the ground up, and you can see a plane flying over, just spraying a chemtrail, a little graphic on Sci-Fi Channel. The process relies on similar methods of distorting electromagnetic fields as invisibility cloaks, but it exploits a time-space duality in electromagnetic theory. Diffraction and dispersion of light in space are mathematically equivalent. Scientists have used this theory to create a time lens that can, for example, magnify or compress in time. The time cloak takes two of those lenses and arranges them so that one compresses a beam of light while the other decompresses it. That leaves the beam seemingly unchanged, but the diffraction and dispersion actually cloak small events in the beam's timeline. Right now, the cloak can only last for 120 nanoseconds, and the theoretical max for the current design measures just microseconds, but the prospect of being able to exist outside of time, even for just a few microseconds, should be enough to make even the most jaded tech nerd giggle at the possibility. Just joking around talking about this. Oh, yeah, it's great. Unbelievable. Time cloak. Classic case here. Anytime you hear stories of people hearing voices, classic case of mind control here. You always see it with serial killers. And there's always evidence they were under mind control or part of some, NASA program, or their parents worked for McDonnell Douglas, or, some big military industrial complex company. Ohio serial killer heard bad voices. Ohio jurors Thursday got a glimpse into the mind of a man accused of killing 11 women and storing their decomposing bodies for 2 years, watching a video of his police interrogation. Anthony Soule, 51, has been little heard from during 3 weeks of gruesome testimony, including the jury's tour of the House of Horrors in Cleveland, Ohio, where he allegedly raped, killed, and buried his victims. But Thursday, prosecutors played the first part of a nearly 9-hour interview Soule had with the sex crimes unit and homicide detectives from the Cleveland Police Department after his arrest in October of 2009. I don't know what happened, Soule says in the tape. It was like a breakdown or something. In the first moments of the grainy police video, Soule taps his foot as he smokes a cigarette with a cup of coffee in his hand. Detectives begin to question him about a woman who accused him of raping her in 2009. He told police he had consensual but kinky sex with a woman on 2 occasions, meaning he put it in her butt. But once detectives began to question Soule about the decomposed bodies found inside the house, he breaks down in the video weeping. Everybody is going to make me out to be evil, Soule told detectives. It just is what it is. He also told police he sometimes heard bad voices in his head. As detectives asked him to identify the corpses inside the home, starting with a body found in the basement, Soule says he cannot remember and needs more time to think. He had allegedly blamed the stench of decomposition on a nearby sausage factory. Jurors have viewed hundreds of disturbing photos that show the decomposed bodies. Throughout the case, Soule has remained silent and calm as evidence. Even though 3 women told police on separate occasions that Soule, a registered sex offender, had raped them, it was not until September 2009 that officers went inside his house when he failed to answer their knock and followed the stench to 2 rotting corpses on a bed on the 3rd floor. A weeks-long search of the house and yard found 8 more bodies and a human skull in a bucket. Soule was arrested as he walked down the street 2 days after the first bodies were found. He faces the death penalty if convicted of nearly 100 charges, including kidnapping, rape, molesting a human corpse, robbery, and attempted murder. The bodies, some of which were found in various places inside and around the home, a bedroom, inside the wall, and a basement, several in the backyard. People always talk about, these different serial killers always having, a copy of Catcher in the Rye on them and that kind of thing. And then you hear these guys talking about voices. What's a fact? You can look this up. What was the guy's name that wrote Catcher in the Rye? He died recently. J.D. Salinger. Yeah, supposedly J.D. Salinger was working with Kissinger and the Tavistock Institute, and supposedly Catcher in the Rye is written in this sort of magical text code that puts the person in a hypnotic state and basically makes them susceptible to be controlled remotely, mind controlled remotely, and they can be programmed to do so. It's like at random. That's why if you go and check out Catcher in the Rye at the local library, your name immediately goes into a database. It has trigger words programmed into it. So you become easy to be controlled. This was something they did with intent. This is why you had so many cases of this. So definitely a strange and odd thing there. But anytime you have the thing about voices, man, it's pretty clear they're on. And it happens all the time, and people just don't hear about it. And then the person always ends up killing themselves or something, and that's convenient. A very prominent A prominent Valley multimillionaire is caught in an investigation after his 32-year-old girlfriend dies at his historic beachfront home in California. This guy supposedly is a big pharmaceutical giant. Rebecca Nalepa was found Wednesday morning naked with her arms and feet bound with orange cord. Nalepa was in a courtyard at the 27-room mansion, which is just a few feet from the Hotel del Coronado and the beach. She was treated at the scene but died in the courtyard before she could be transported to a hospital. Jonah Shackney is the founder, chairman, and CEO of Medicis. That's like a fucking, sounds like a priest class Roman bloodline, doesn't it? The Medici's Pharmaceutical Corporation, which he began in 1988. Napella was Shackney's live-in girlfriend of 2 years. His company is known for such successes as Restylane, a cosmetic wrinkle filler that is a competitor of Botox. He lives in Scottsdale, Arizona, where his company is located. He was not at the Coronado home at the time when the body was found. Shackney was visiting his 6-year-old son in San Diego Children's Hospital Thursday morning, where his son is in serious condition. His son is in a coma after he had a bad fall on Monday at Shackney's California home. Well, that's convenient. The kid had a bad fall on Monday, put him in the hospital, so he was convenient in the hospital when this murder went down, so he had an alibi 101 right there. That sounds fishy to me. Police said there was nothing to indicate that the boy's fall and woman's death are connected. Shackney is known for his business successes and for his giving nature as a contributor to various charities. Notice how they're trying to prop this guy up, make him sound like he's a real pillar of the community. So there's, I mean, they're giving him they're propping up his alibi, they're propping up his character. I don't give a fuck about all that. A woman was bound with cord at your home, dude, and you have a convenient. I mean, this, these guys own the media. This sounds like a fucking chill story to me. This sounds like a massive cover up. We'll keep an eye on this and continue to report on it if any news stories break on it. But something's fishy with that. I'll just say that straight up. Boy, near riots in Dallas this morning. At least 8 people were hurt Thursday morning while scrambling up to a line for a limited number of Dallas County rental vouchers. After waiting in line for hours, people lined up Thursday morning to apply for Dallas County Section 8 housing vouchers. That's government housing. Dallas County Chair spokesman Kim Leach estimated the crowd at about 5,000. 5,000 people just scrambling. You should see these pictures. I mean, this is fucking ridiculous, dude. This is people. Look at this shit. People are mauling each other in Dallas to get, vouchers for government housing. I mean, have they really gotten us down to that subservient of a level? 5,000 people in Dallas show up, and I mean, we've got places where there's fucking $50 million homes, and right down the street there's ghettos and homeless people. You've got 5,000 people scrambling, killing each other to just for a chance to suck from the government teat. No wonder we're not free. No wonder we're enslaved. No wonder these motherfuckers continue to do whatever they want to do and act like they shouldn't give a shit about what we say. When you got 5,000 fucking people in Dallas alone scrambling to get on the government teat, yeah. I'd say that, they've got us right where they want us. That's just unbelievable to me. Get your shit together, Dallas. Come on now. Sea monsters really do lurk beneath the waves, scientists claim. From krakens to gigantic sea serpents, terrifying monsters of the deep have haunted the imaginations of generations of mariners.
Unleash the Kraken.
Now experts in marine life claim sea monsters might actually exist. Because scientists are still finding new species of underwater life, the discovery of marine monsters is not impossible. What are they conditioning us for now? Jesus Christ. Giant fucking sea monsters? What are we going to see? Mothra and Godzilla and fucking Mecha Godzilla and all this shit before it's over with? Wasn't that what happened in some of those, toxic waste or stuff from dripped into something and turned them into these gigantic fucking things? We'll probably see all that before it's over with. I mean, that's pretty much where my research has taken me. No shit. I'm not even trying to be funny here. It's not a punchline. It's not a joke. My research has literally taken me to the point where it appears to me now that everything that's ever been depicted in zombie movies and sci-fi movies is all gonna come to a head and happen. We very well may see UFO, alien invasion and zombie apocalypse and nuclear war and Godzilla and Mothra and all this shit before it's over with, the way it's going. I mean, I just wondered about why they're putting this article out as if it's, trying to get us ready. Hey, look, you guys need to get ready for the fact that you may see giant fucking sea monsters coming out of the water soon. So don't shit yourself too bad once you start seeing this. My goodness gracious. Hey, interesting thing here. It may mean something to you. It means something to me. It may not mean something to you. But I want to point this out for those of you who've been listening to my show for a while and have heard my research into the rock wall in Rockwall, Texas. There's a city here in the suburbs of Dallas called Frisco, and it's a good, it's a good ways from Rockwall. But Rockwall County has moved so far out north towards the Wiley area and stuff like and stuff like that they're redistricting a lot of stuff over there. Well, the west side of Frisco is way. I mean, we're talking miles and miles and miles from that side of where Rockwall County is. We talked about the county of Rockwall. We talked about the Freemasons, all those guys there that are covering up the rock wall. And it says here that Rick Perry signed on June 17th. It becomes effective September 15th and creates State House District 33. 33 Freemasons. House District 33. Now listen to this, which stretches from the Collin County side of Frisco around the west, northeast, and southeast borders of the county and absorbs the whole of Rockwall County. So they created a district that encompasses all of Rockwall County and also encompasses the west side of Frisco, which is way on the other side of town. There's no reason why those two districts should be close together. But because both West Frisco and Rockwall are very, very rich, have tons of money, football players and all that shit live there, they've now created this into a new zone, into a new district, which should not be a district because whoa. Somebody didn't want me talking about that. Oh, you got attacked. This should not be a district. They're not even close to each other, folks. I live here, so I know this. West Frisco is fucking on the other side of bumfuck Egypt from where Rockwall County is. They're not even close to each other. You've got Wiley and all these other towns around there close to that. So they just happen to take, two of the richest areas, combine them together into House District 33, and create a new district. Unbelievable to see that, and you can just tell that's coming from the top down. So I thought I'd point that out. I found that fascinating. Seems that our good buddy 33rd degree Freemason astronaut Edgar Mitchell. I said it facetiously. He's not my buddy. Fuck that guy. But the U.S. government has sued a former NASA astronaut to recover a camera used to explore the moon's surface during the 1971 Apollo 14 mission after seeing it slated for sale at New York auction. Now, what are they worried about here? That this thing's going to get out and people are going to see that was what, hoaxed footage or something? Since we can't break free the ethereal energy barrier around the Earth, the Van Allen radiation belts. The lawsuit filed in a Miami federal court accuses Edgar Mitchell of illegally possessing the camera and attempting to sell it for profit. In March, NASA learns that British auction house Bonhams was planning to sell the camera at a space history sale, according to the suit filed on Wednesday. The item was labeled movie camera from the lunar surface and billed as one of two cameras from the Apollo 14 lunar module Antares. The lot description said that the item came directly from the collection of pilot Edgar Mitchell and had a pre-sale estimate of $60,000 to $80,000. Mitchell was the lunar module pilot on Apollo 14, which launched its 9-day mission in 1971 under the command of Alan Shepard. And so he's had this thing for years, and he goes to sell it. They hadn't had a problem with him having this thing for years. Obviously, you're not going to sit here and tell me that NASA hadn't known until now he had the camera. Give me a break. They knew he had it, but see, now they know that if somebody buys that and does a little digging into it and does investigation into it, they're probably going to find out some things like, the fact that that technology is probably, it probably has technology in that camera that was supposed to not to have existed at the time in which it was being used, stuff like that, because a lot of that NASA stuff is that way. I know for a fact. I mean, there is, believe me, there's evidence that they have. I've seen evidence that points in the direction that they've had technology a lot earlier than they admitted that they do. One galaxy or two. Look at this amazing photo here. The 60-year mystery of Hoag's object that has scientists baffled. There's a picture of it in the chat room. When the late astronomer Art Hoag first positioned his telescope at a ring mass, he had one question. Was it one galaxy or two? That was in 1950, and the mystery of Hoag's object has left scientists scratching their heads ever since. On its outside is a ring with millions of young blue stars, while its center is a ball of redder stars that are much, much older. Between the two sets of stars is a ring almost completely dark. Just how it came to be formed is a mystery, but possible theories including one galaxy colliding with another billions of years ago. In that case, the second galaxy usually speeds up through first leaving a splash of a stars in formation. But in Hoag's object, a second galaxy is not there, leading some scientists to believe that the blue outer ring of stars may be the remains of a galaxy that passed nearby. Another theory of how the object was formed is the gravitational effect of the central bar that has long since vanished. Hoag's object is around 120,000 light years wide, which is slightly larger than our Milky Way galaxy. It also sits around 600 million light years away from the Serpens constellation. Curiously, at the 1 o'clock position, there is another much smaller object that looks like it could be another Hoag's object. Scientists believe this is probably a background ring galaxy. Well, no, it looks like it just goes on and on and on. It looks like to me, it looks like the Ouroboros. It looks like the serpent biting its tail. Interesting stuff there, but I think we've just about got through all our news here, and I don't think I have anything else I need to cover news-wise. We're going to take a break and come back. And when we get back from the break, we're going to get into some emails. We got a big stack of these piling up here, so I'll do my best to get through these. If you want to send an email in for me to get into the next segment, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. I'd love to have you send an email in tonight, and I'll do my best to read it here for you on the show. This is the Global Reality, folks. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. We'll take a break, come back, and then we'll get some emails in here. Back here with you on the Global Reality, right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being with us tonight. Getting Moonbat under the full moon for you here tonight. In this segment of the broadcast, we're going to get into listener emails and into the Lost Book of Enki for you tonight, picking up where we left off last night. So thanks for being with us. globalrealityshow@gmail.com is my email address. That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. The website where this broadcast originates from is www.theglobalreality.com. We have the chip and banner and the donate button up there to support our work. We also have the new P.O. box that's up there you can use as well if you can't use PayPal. And we could use your support right now. We have a stream bill coming up due this weekend we have to pay, so please support our work so if you can, so we can push forward. And, because sometimes after we pay the bills, lately it's been we pay the bills, we really don't have anything left to even do anything else with, so I'd like to get that remedied, so please support if you can. We've got some messages here from Lori. Lori sends us lots of good emails, lots of good tidbits and questions. She likes to send her emails in multiples of 3, though. I'm just giving you shit, Lori. I don't care how many emails you send me. But I think we got like 3 in a row here. They're all coincide. She says, Hey, Josh, you might be doing a show right now. Yeah, well, good call. But I hope you will save this and take a look at it. I've been telling a friend of mine for about a year now that Ron Paul will be our next president. It's not that I want him to be, just that everything has been pointing to it. Make the people wake up to what's going on, bring in an obvious sacrifice, Obama, and make him obviously known to lie, cheat, steal, all the while getting the grassroots movement to get the good old Ronnie Diablo Paul. People love him. Isn't that what they say about the Antichrist? Anyways, I just saw a video of one of his commercial ads. They made a really good ad there, full of signs, like a nice warm yellow glowing light behind his head, and all the steps. There is one subliminal I caught in there that I can't freeze on, however. It's the number 61. It's shown in two places in the same millisecond around 37 seconds. Would you happen to have any idea what that number is about? I will drop, let me, just a second here. So if our listeners want to see what I'm talking about here, I can drop this in the chat room for everybody. Let's see. Yeah, it's odd. Before I get into that, before I answer that question, Lord, somebody in the chat room was saying something about Alex Jones growing up in Rockwall, and I did grew up not too far from there, but wasn't the nice gated community where he lived. But yeah, somebody was saying, it seems like you guys have kind of been rivals your whole life or whatever, not even known it. You know what's odd about that? I used to go out with a girl, and her last name was Jones, and I remember her telling me one time, this is like, I don't know, 1995 or something, she had a cousin that lived in Austin, and he was into conspiracy stuff. And I always wondered, it seemed like that would have been too much of a coincidence, I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me, though. The occult significance of the number 61. Well, any of these numbers can have an occult meaning if you really look into it. I mean, it's all numbers are very strong and all have a important thing to. I don't know if anything specifically was 61. Like you said, could it be that he's going to get 61% of the vote to win? Maybe so. I don't know. But Lori has another. She says, okay. After a little investigation, after I sent the last email, I came up with this: 61 Hirja. 6 + 1 = 7, which signifies a completed agenda. There you go. And the Ron Paul thing is he's definitely an agenda. It's definitely it's definitely something that they've tried to get people behind to create this phony sign so they can enrage people by his defeat or whatever have you, or him winning and somebody assassinating. I think any of those are possible. Baal, the god of war, is the accuser and slanderer. I don't know what this has to do with it. Ron Paul, Ron Ball, Baal. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's lots of stuff with him you can connect to. God, people are obsessed with fucking Ron Paul. I got like 2 more Ron Paul emails here. What the fuck is going on? More, Leah Avino sends me this. It says, more proof that Clooney is CIA. Yeah, there's no doubt George Clooney CIA. He's been the operative that's been running the whole thing in Sudan to establish a new government there. But he sends me this article here, pretty interesting stuff. Even though we're done with the news, I'll read it. Clooney's satellite captures piles of bodies in mass graves in Sudan. What, Clooney has a fucking satellite now? Has his own satellite? How the fuck did this happen? George Clooney's satellite Sentinel project, set up to monitor the spiraling violence in Sudan, they just give George Clooney a satellite now to monitor what's going on? I mean, give me a fucking break. That right there should tell you he's an op. They just give George Clooney a satellite to monitor Sudan. I mean, the Sudanese have a problem with that? He has a stunning report out today with convincing evidence showing a campaign of systematic mass killings. Yeah, of course. And why is that evidence important to the power structure? Because They have been instigating these killings going on. They've been instigating these mass killings. The CIA has been in there. Mossad has been in there. They're in there committing all these murders so they can go in and set up a new government and take over that land and strip it of its resources, same as they've done everywhere else. It's highly interesting, because there's. Have you ever seen the movie Confessions of a Dangerous Mind? George Clooney's actually in that, and he plays a CIA agent as he does in fucking 20 movies. He's a CIA agent, literally. Syriana, and it just goes on. Listen, it goes on and on and on. But that movie Confessions of a Dangerous Mind is about the Gong Show guy, Chuck Barris, and Chuck Barris couldn't get a TV show off the ground. CIA comes along, hires him, and the whole time he was doing the Gong Show and all that, people never knew it until years later. Chuck Barris was a trained assassin for the CIA, and George Clooney's in that movie. And so it's sort of that movie's a nice reflection of real life. Everybody just sees Clooney as this movie star and everything else. Never suspect he's the perfect operative. He's a Council on Foreign Relations member. So is Angelina Jolie. These people are perfect operatives because nobody suspects them. And most of the time, they get chosen because of their bloodline and their family and everything else. So, yeah, interesting stuff there. This is a good question. Hey, Josh, I was just wondering if you can touch on the whole Enlil versus Enki thing. Enlil still against mankind? ? It said in the Bible how he would not destroy us through a flood again. Do you think these beings are still alive? All hypothetical, man. Thanks. We'll be hearing from you. Do I think Enlil and Enki are still alive? Enki, I think, was said to have been judged because he, for creating what we're reading, the Lost Book of Enki, and trying to set up the first secret society to teach mankind in secret our history, the history of the people who created us. And when the Anunnaki elders, who we've been reading about here, found out about this, they always give them a punishment and a sentence. For instance, we had the one guy who was banished to live out the rest of his life on Mars. And in tribute to him, they carved his face into a mountain to constantly be looking skyward. And, of course, we know that as the face on Mars. You also have Enki being judged and being forced, his sentence being to constantly reincarnate over and over again, endlessly, in the human bodies in which he had a hand in creating. And these constant reincarnations of Enki are supposedly supposed to account for all the messianic figures that we've seen all over the world. Jesus, Quetzalcoatl, Onas, Vishnu, Viracocha, Buddha, on and on and on, and each time trying to teach mankind who we are and what we're truly capable of. As far as Enlil and the rest of the stuff, I don't know. 3,600-year orbit, it takes 3,600 years for their plane to go around our Earth, allegedly. Maybe so. I don't know. Good question. Maybe we'll, as we read more of the Lost Book of Enki, we'll be able to further answer that question. But speaking of that, let's go ahead and get into that tonight. We left off last night, page 152, and the earth is starting to tremble and shake, and the children of the sun began to wake. No, that's a Zeppelin song. Sorry, never mind. But yeah, that's pretty much what happens. Says the grounds were trembling, and each time the earth was shaking. Hey, maybe that's where Zeppelin got that shit from. Most of their stuff came from, a lot of their lyrics came from occultic stuff, and left and right. And Jimmy Page is a fucking warlock, man. To his son Nergal and his spouse Ereshkigal, he therefore entrusted command to them. A thing unknown, an untoward thing thereunder is brewing. Nergal to his father Enki said, in Nibiru Key, the place of the bond of heaven and earth, Enlil was watching the heavenly orbits go by. By the emise of the tablets of destiny, celestial motions he was comparing. There is turmoil in the heavens, Enlil said to his brother Enki. From the planet Laranu, the place of the way station, Marduk to Enki, his father, was complaining. Strong winds are disturbing us, and annoying dust storms they are raising on earth. So Marduk to his father Enki was beaming his words. In the hammered bracelet, turmoils are occurring. Upon the earth, brimstones from the skies were falling. Pitless demons, havoc causing violently, they approach the earth. Now, what's interesting is this being caused because of the orbit of Nibiru coming close to the earth and the cataclysmic effects that it's said to have on our planet when it gets closer? That's what I think this is. That's what I think they're referring to. I could be wrong about that. Into flaming fires in the sky, they were bursting. In a clear day darkness, they were causing storms with evil winds that raged around. Like stony missiles to the earth, they were attacking. Well, the hammered bracelet is the asteroid belt. So I guess the asteroid belt started hammering the earth with asteroids. Kingu, Earth's moon, and Lamu, which is Mars, was too affected by these havocs. The faces of all three were covered with countless scars. Enlil and Enki to Anu the king were beaming urgent words. They alerted Nibiru's savants. The Earth and the Moon and Lamu, Mars, are facing an unknown calamity. From Nibiru, the savants were responding, and their words from the leaders' hearts were not calming. In the heavens, the family of the sun were taking stations. The celestials, of whom Earth is the seventh in a row, were choosing places. Again, 5,000-year-old text here, folks. In the heavens, Nibiru was approaching. The sun's abode it was nearing. By the seven in a row arraigned was Nibiru distracted. The path through the hammered bracelet it was missing. From the bracelet bits and pieces it had been displacing. So Nibiru is passing close to Earth in its orbit around the sun, and it starts displacing pieces of the asteroid belt, and those start hammering Earth and the moon and Mars. Bereft of the celestial bar, Lamu with Mumu near the sun were crouching. In the heavens, Lamu was abandoning her glorious dwelling place. Toward Nibiru, she was attracted to the heavenly queen, a queen of heaven she wished to be. To quell her, Nibiru made a monstrous demon appear from the celestial deep. A monster once playing host to Tiamat by the celestial battlefield fashion. From this celestial deep made its way by Nibiru and was from its slumber awakened. From the horizon to the midst of heaven like a flaming dragon it was stretched. 1 league was its head, 50 leagues was its length, awesome was its tail. By day the skies of earth it darkened. By night upon the face of the moon a spell of darkness it cast. To her brothers the celestials, Lamu was calling for help. Who will obstruct the dragon? Who will stop and kill it? She was asking. Only valiant Kingu, once Tiamat's protector, stepped forward to respond. To intercept the dragon in its path, Kingu was making haste. Fierce was the encounter. A tempest of clouds upon Kingu was raised. By its foundations, Kingu was shaken from the impact, and the moon quaked and shaked. Then the heavenly havoc was calmed. Nibiru was returning to its distant abode in the deep, meaning it was going back to its normal orbit. Lamu did not abandon its place of dwelling. The stony missiles upon the earth in Lamu ceased their raining. Enki and Enlil with Marduk and Ninurta gathered. They undertook a surveying of the havoc on earth. The foundations of the earth Enki surveyed, and he examined what had befallen of its platforms. The depths of the oceans he measured. In earth's far corners the mountains of gold and copper he scanned. Of the vital gold, there will be no shortage, Enki was saying. In the Eden, Ninurta was the surveyor, where mountains trembled and valleys shook. In his skyship, he soared and journeyed. I mean, here we are, 5,000-year-old Texas, openly talking about people flying around in fucking skyships. No big deal. Again, ask yourself why this is the first thing they did when they invaded the Iraq National Museum in 2003. Why did the first thing they did was go in and get, text like this so we can't see them anymore? I mean, duh, hello. The landing platform was intact in the valleys of the north. The earth's fiery liquids were pouring. So Ninurta was telling his father Enlil about sulfuric mists and bitumens that he was discovering. On Mars, the atmosphere was damaged. Dust storms were interfering with life and work. So Marduk said to Enki, I wish to return to Earth. He disclosed to his father. Enlil, to his olden plans, betook himself. What cities and their tasks he planned, he reconsidered. A chariot place in the Eden must be established, to the others, he was saying. So he wants he wants a landing pad in the Eden. He doesn't want to have to land over at the Nazca lines in Peru and fly all the way over anymore. No, he wants front row service. The olden designs of the layout on the crystal tablet he showed to them. The conveying from the landing place to the way station on Lamu is no longer certain. To soar toward Nibiru from Earth, we must be able to do, Enlil was saying to them. For the count since the first splashdown, the count of 80 shars it was. So they've now been on Earth 80 shars, which a shar is how long it takes the Nibiru to go around the Earth, but the Earth goes around the sun, to go around the sun, but the Earth goes around the sun much quicker than that. So they age a lot faster. Now, this is the account of the journey to the moon by Enki and Marduk. Well, you've seen some of David Hatcher Childress's research. He's got some evidence, pictures, photographs, where he's taken, a picture of the moon, and it serves close up, from telescopes from 1 year, and then shows that same area 2 years later, and you can see tracks, and you can tell where stuff has been mined. Somebody's been up there mining on the moon for a very long time. Who? Well, I'll leave that up to you to guess. But I have a feeling that's where it's going to go here. They're probably looking for gold and all that stuff on the moon. Now this is the account of the journey to the moon by Enki and Marduk, and how Enki determined the 3 ways of heaven and the constellations. Let the place of the chariots near Bad Tibiara, the metal city, be established. From there, let the gold from Earth to Nibiru in the chariots be directly carried. So Ninurta of Bad Tibira, the commander, to them the words he was saying. Enlil, to the words of Ninurta, his son, gave heed. He was proud of his son's wisdom. To Anu, the king, Enlil quickly conveyed the plan. He said to Anu, let a place of celestial chariots in the Eden be established. Near the place where the gold ores are smelted and refined, let it be built. Let the pure gold in the chariots directly from Earth to Nibiru be carried. Directly to Earth from Nibiru, let heroes and supplies be coming. Of great merit is the plan, my brother, Enki was saying to his father Anu. A great disadvantage it is holding in its core. The net pull of Earth, its gravity, is much greater than Mars. To overcome the gravity, we shall exhaust our powers. Before there is rush to deciding, let us examine an alternative. Nearby, the Earth a companion has, the moon it is. Smaller is its gravity. Ascent and descent thereon will require little effort. Let us use it as a way station. Let me and Marduk thereto journey. The two plans I knew the king before the counselors and savants considered presenting. Let the moon first be examined, the king did advise. Let the moon first be examined, I knew, to Enki and Enlil beamed the decision. Enki was greatly joyed. The moon to him was always alluring. Isn't that interesting? We'd be reading this, coincidentally, we'd be reading this tonight on a full moon. And we're talking about Enlil and Enki going to the moon. Obviously, here to, as they're saying here, to set it up as a way station. Maybe that's why, there's been this thing where, people have been kind of afraid of the moon. Maybe they're up there using it as a way station still to this day. Who knows? Whether somewhere it was hiding water and what atmosphere it possesses, he always wondered. Isn't that interesting that Enki was wondering, if it had water? And, of course, what did we do? We, straight out of Mr. Show, we blew up the fucking moon. Oh, we're going to blow it up, find out if there's water there. And India's going, hello, Mr. America, we already found the water. Why did my Indian sound like a Mexican? God, I'm terrible. I'm sorry.
Suck Satan's cock.
Its sleepless nights, its silvery cool disk with bewitchment, he observed. Its waxing and waning, a game with the sun it played, a wonder of wonders. What secrets from the beginning he wished to uncover of the moon? In a rocket ship, Enki and Marduk did journey to the moon. Thrice, they circled the Earth's companion and created a deep wound, or they observed a deep wound that was created by the dragon. By many hollows, the handiwork of smashing demons had marked the face of the moon. In a place of rolling hills, they set the rocket ship down. In its midst, they landed. From the place the earth they could observe, and the expanse of the heavens. Eagles' helmets they had to don. The atmosphere for breathing was insufficient. With ease they walked about. In this and that direction they went. The evil dragon's handiwork was dryness and desolation. Maybe this explains, that they were setting up a way station there. There's that thing called the Shard. You guys ever heard of that? The Shard, S-H-A-R-D. If you type the Shard on the moon into Google, you should find that. It's this fucking structure. It's like a tower for giants. This thing's like 20 miles thick or something like that. I mean, it looks like this giant tower that was made for, to the scale of giants. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's why there's been so much, obfuscation and lies about what's really on the moon. With ease, they walked about any direction they wanted to. The evil dragon's handiwork was dryness and desolation. Unlike Lamu, it is, for a way station, it is unsuitable. Marduk said to Enki, let us abandon this place, and let us return to earth. Do not be so hasty, my son, and Enki said to Marduk, are you not by the celestial dance of earth and moon and sun enchanted? Unobstructed from here is the viewing of the quarter of the sun is at hand. The earth is like a globe in the void. By nothing it is hanging. With our instruments we can scan the distant heavens. A handiwork of the creator of all in this solitude we can admire. Let us stay and observe the orbits of how the moon circles the earth and how the earth is making its orbits around the sun. So Enki was agitated by the sights and was saying to his son Marduk. Marduk was persuaded by his father's words. In the rocket ship, they made their dwelling, or their home. For one orbit of Earth and for 3 orbits on the moon, they remained. Its motions about the Earth they measured. The duration of a month they calculated. For 6 orbits of Earth, for 12 orbits around the sun, they measured Earth's year. How the two were entwined, causing the luminaries to disappear, they recorded. Eclipses, that kind of thing. Then to the sun's quarter they gave attention. To the paths of Mumu and Lamu they studied. With the earth and the moon, Lamu, Mars, constituted its second quarter. 6 were the celestials of the lower waters, so Enki was explaining to Marduk. 6 were the celestials of the upper waters beyond the bar, the hammered bracelet they were. Anshar and Kishar, Anu and Nudimud, Gaga and Nibiru. These were the 6 other planets, and I believe Gaga was the original name for Venus or Jupiter or something like that. Maybe it was Jupiter. Which one was also known as Lucifer? Is that Venus or Jupiter? One of those. Well, whichever one it is, that's what Gaga relates to. So there you go. Lady Gaga, Lady Lucifer, blah, blah, blah. We already see that. We already knew that. But, you know, I want to point that out since we're reading from 5,000-year-old text here. It becomes pretty obvious where these occultists that run the music industry get their fucking stuff from. If you read that's why they don't want you to know this stuff. Because then you'll be able to point out, we see Lady Gaga on TV and you see, some video where she's got Sirius in the background and 2 dogs flanking on both sides. You go, oh my God, the dog star, rising star. I mean, my God, that doesn't get any more Illuminati than that. And most people just don't see it because they don't read. 12 they were in all. Of 12 did the sun and its family finally make the count. Of the most recent upheavals, Marduk was inquiring to his father Enki. Why have 7 celestials in a row taken place? Their circuits about the sun, their orbits, Enki then considered. Their grand band around the sun, their progenitor, Enki carefully observed. The positions of Earth and Moon therein on a chart, Enki marked out. Now, my question is that he's talking about marking out the positions of the Earth and the Moon on a chart and showing, where the planets are in relation to the sun. My question about that is that the same thing that we've seen in some of the Sumerian artifacts? There's a Sumerian artifact that I've seen that's over 5,000 years old, long before the times of telescopes or anything else, and it's exactly that. It shows the planets, in addition to 2 that we allegedly don't know about or talk about right now, added to it, and they're all in the right position around the sun. So this could be where this information originally came from. They got it on the moon and then brought it back to Earth and gave it to the primitive people later on. Same reason why we see the caduceus representing Enki and the genetic manipulation being its first usage in ancient Sumeria on the rock carvings there. The same one that's used today in the medical field. That's why. Because the medical field is based on the original medical field, which was the technology that the Anunnaki had that they gave to mankind, which was the knowledge of DNA and how to extract it and use it for whatever purposes. Genetic manipulation, everything else. By the motions of Nibiru, of the sun, not a descendant, the width of the great band he outlined. The way of Anu, the king, Enki decided to name it. In the expanse of the deep heavens, the stars were observed by the father and son. By their proximities and groupings, Enki was fascinated. By their orbit of the heavens from horizon to horizon, he drew images of 12 constellations. In the great band, the way of Anu, 1 each with the sun's family of 12 he paired. To each one he designated a station. By names they were to be called. And notice how anytime they always say that anytime anything is given a name, when you give it, they indicate that giving a name to something separates it from being, just an animal or something, and actually indicates that it's a living spiritual entity. Then in the heavens below, the way of Anu, whence Nibiru is approaching the sun. He designed a band-like structure. The way of Enki, he designated it. To it, 12 constellations by their shapes he also allotted. The heavens above the way of Anu, the upper tier, the way of Enlil, he called it. 13, therein to the stars into 12 constellations he assembled. 12 constellations, 12 tribes of Israel, 12 stones in the ephod communication device, 12 extraterrestrial races. Starting to get the idea here. 36 for the stars, constellations, and the 3 ways where they were located. So we will position the Earth's position designated as it travels around the sun. The start of the cycle of celestial time will measure it. When I on Earth had arrived, the station that was ending by me, the station of the fishes, was named. Right, the age of Pisces. He's openly talking about setting up what we know as the time period that an age is. Inky says, when I arrived on Earth at the station that was ending, which here that's what they're referring to as an age, is a station. The age that was ending was named the age of the fishes, or the age of Pisces. The one that followed after my name title, he of water, I called it. Inky was saying this with pride and satisfaction to his son Marduk. Your wisdom embraces the heavens. Your teachings any own extend. Sorry. Let me try to see what I'm trying to. I have to try to kind of fucking make this sayable. Your teachings any own understanding extend. I don't know what that means. Your teachings extend understanding is what it's supposed to be saying. There you go. But on Earth and Nibiru, knowledge and rulership are separated, Marduk said to his father. My son, what is that you do not know? What is it that you are missing? To him, Inky was saying. The secrets of the heavens, the secrets of the earth I have shared with you. Alas, my father, Marduk was saying, there was agony in his voice. When the Anunnaki were toiling in the Abzu on Earth, when that ceased, and you sent the primitive worker to fashion, not my mother, Ninmah, the mother of Ninurta, to assist you, was summoned. Not I, but Ningishzida, the younger, you invited to help you. With them, not with me, your knowledge of life and death you did share. My son, Inky responded to Marduk. To you, command was given of the Agigi, the workers, and of Mars to be supreme. You were given rulership over Mars and its workers. Alas, my father, of supremacy by fate we are deprived. You, my father, are Anu's firstborn, yet Enlil, not you, is the legal heir. You, my father, were first to splash down to Endu and establish it, which is Earth. Yet Eridu is in Enlil's domain. Yours is in the distant Abzu. I am your firstborn. By your legitimate spouse on Nibiru I was born. Yet the gold in the city of Ninurta is assembled therefrom to send or to withhold it. The survival of Nibiru is in his hands. It is not in my hands. Now that we are returning to Earth, what will be my task? Am I to fame and kingship fated, or will I be humiliated? In silence, Inky embraced his son. On the desolate moon, he made a promise to him. Of that of which I have been deprived of you, your future lot shall be. Your celestial time will come. A station adjoining mine shall be yours. So there he says, we're gonna fix this. We're gonna make sure, you feel like you're a part of this. And we're gonna see more of these conflicts coming up between these. We're gonna see conflicts coming up between Lil and Inky and because apparently, from what I understand from reading some of these other Sumerian texts, the workers start to revolt. They don't want to be enslaved because they've been made with too much of this princely DNA of the Anunnaki, and they just say, "Oh, fuck them," wipe them out, great flood, whatever. But Inky was the one that said to have had compassion. This is for the whole thing of Lucifer and the devil and Jesus. I mean, you see where all these myths come from. All this stuff originates out of ancient Samaria. And this is the big reason why there's been such a moratorium on this info, because they really don't want people it really just don't want people to see that. Unbelievable stuff there. Well, I'm glad you guys tuned into the show with me tonight. We're going to leave it right there and pick up next time on the account of Sippar and the place of the chariots in the Eden. Let me make sure, see what place this is. 160, I guess, is the page. So we'll pick up on that next time on the broadcast. Again, my website where this broadcast originates from is www.theglobalreality.com. That's www.theglobalreality.com. The chipping banner of the donate button is there. We have a P.O. box now. If you want to send in contributions with check, please only use that. If you can't, use PayPal as a last resort. And that's going to do it for our broadcast tonight. Thanks for staying up late with us. My name is Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you. You guys have a great night. We'll see you next time for the broadcast. Take care.